A year and a half ago, I posted that exact TikTok video on my personal account of me and my son playing in a pool together. Most people likely watched it for 2 seconds and kept scrolling. Some would double tap. But for one person, this video hit a very particular nerve that said not only a lot about her, but about the society that she grew up in. As you saw at the beginning, all that was happening in this video was my son was right next to me, splashing around in his little floaty. I was standing next to him with a smile on my face, and the music playing over the video was Over the Rainbow by Hawaiian artist Israel Kamakawiwo'ole, which, by the way, I chose that song because it is a song about hope and a better tomorrow. Over the video, I added the text that said, "All those congratulations, you're so lucky," came with no support. A relatable observation that parents understand, entrepreneurs understand, athletes understand, and a lot of people in general understand. There was no crying, no dramatic monologue, no violin music swelling in the background while I look out a rainy window contemplating my suffering. But this one TikTok user commented, "It's not really anyone's job to support you though." Well, no shit, it's a TikTok video, not a job posting. What fascinated me about this interaction wasn't even her specifically. It was the mentality underneath the comment. Because I have noticed that there is a very specific internet commentary that appears whenever someone is acknowledging a difficult life circumstance. It always arrives with the exact same energy wrapped in slightly different wording.
"Well, you chose this."
In my case, and reflected in my TikTok video that I made, yes, absolutely, I chose motherhood. And I would do it over and over and over again. Almost all our entire life as people will be about choice. But I've noticed online culture and the broader society uses the language of personal responsibility in a way that goes far beyond accountability and drifts into something colder and more callous. It becomes this holier than thou social philosophy where the moment someone has agency in a situation, empathy is revoked.
You chose that job. You chose that relationship. You chose that city. You chose that degree. You chose to become a parent.
Which translates to deal with it alone, struggle in silence, do not inconvenience anyone with the reality of being human inside the consequences of the choices that you made. Not even random internet users. Now, I need all 5 of you who are going to watch this video to hear me loud and clear. Acknowledging hardship is not the same thing as rejecting personal responsibility. That distinction really matters to me, especially because I am not anti-accountability at all. If anything, I probably lean more towards self-responsibility than most people do on a day-to-day basis. I have had to. Nobody casually wakes up one day and effortlessly untangles years of unhealthy relationship patterns, emotional conditioning, survival behavior, normalized dysfunction, poor coping mechanisms, and internalized chaos. That kind of growth takes brutal levels of self-awareness and responsibility. It takes restraint, humility, discernment, a desire to change, and honesty. The kind of honesty where you have to look at yourself clearly when it would be much easier to blame everybody else for the rest of your life. I have had to work on how I react under stress. I've had to examine why I tolerated unhealthy dynamics for as long as I did. I've had to rebuild my life in ways that were not glamorous or aesthetic, inspirational, or externally visible. That is accountability. Not the internet version of accountability where people sit in YouTube comments acting morally superior while ordering tacos from DoorDash at 11:47 p.m. and then not tipping their driver. Not the internet version of accountability where someone looks down on you for having stayed in an unhealthy or abusive relationship, and then later they have a whole ass GoFundMe set up for their broken heart because the employee at CBS that they crush on won't text them back. Not the internet version of accountability where the same woman who was telling me that I shouldn't complain about a lack of support later had her sister in my comments trying to drag me because apparently she needed the support after I responded to her. Ironic, right? The accountability I'm talking about is the kind where nobody claps for you because most of the work happens internally, long before your external life visibly changes. So when I talk about empathy and support, I am not arguing that people should be exempt from responsibility. We are all responsible for the words we use, the actions we take, and the decisions we make. What I reject is this increasingly extreme hyper-individualism where compassion is treated like a reward that people earn only after having made flawless life decisions. If we applied that framework consistently, almost no one would qualify for empathy. People are interdependent, whether anyone online or in real life wants to admit it or not. The same exact people saying,
No one owes you support,
often rely on emotional support from friends, professional networking, grandparents helping with childcare, coworkers covering shifts, spouses splitting bills, teachers educating their children, communities supporting them during crises, or entire invisible systems of labor quietly holding their lives together every day. Somehow, the second certain things enter the conversation, take motherhood, for example, especially single motherhood, society suddenly pivots into this aggressively rugged individualism where you are expected to function like these logistics corporations operating on 3 hours of sleep and 1 cup of coffee that went cold an hour ago because you're so fucking busy doing everything yourself. And if they struggle visibly online for even 16 seconds, somebody appears in the comment section to remind them that apparently reproduction was a legally binding agreement to never need support again. Such a sick reduction of human life. I think part of the reason why this woman reacted so strongly to my video is because vulnerability makes people uncomfortable. Even I am guilty of that. See, self-awareness, accountability acted out live in this video. Most people who disagreed with my TikTok probably rolled their eyes and moved on. She didn't. She engaged. I responded to her comment with a video and said the first thing that came to mind.
You sound like you are a great friend.
Then I explained that I actually agreed with her.
You're right. I agree with you. It isn't anyone's job to support me, to support you, or to support anyone.
But that was never the point. The point was that congratulations are easy. People hand out congratulations easy when you get married, when you start a business, you get a promotion, have a baby, move somewhere new, chase a dream. But the kind of support that will show up during uncertainty, exhaustion, grief, loneliness, overwhelm, burnout, that type of support is much less common. Then I asked her a question.
I really wonder if you come across videos where somebody is saying that they just got laid off from their job and they're really scared in this economy of what to do and they feel like they don't have any support. would you have still made this comment? If you came across a video where somebody was saying that they just lost somebody near and dear to them in their life to cancer, and they felt like they didn't have a lot of support, would you still have made this comment? Or did you make this comment because you saw that I was a mom with a baby and made all kinds of assumptions about me?
Her response was to say that my video looked like I was fishing for pity, and that just because people choose to congratulate you for something that you chose to put yourself through doesn't mean that they owe you anything after that. What fascinated me was how contradictory the logic became. She accused me of seeking sympathy while simultaneously bringing up her own experiences with dying relatives and difficult times in order to justify her perspective. But what stood out to me even more than that was this cultural tendency to confuse emotional expression with entitlement. If somebody says, I'm lonely, I'm going through a hard time right now, I feel unsupported, and instead of just observing and hearing that that is a human experience, people instead hear that you want attention or pity, or that you are looking for someone to rescue you. Vulnerability is not a contract. Relatability is not manipulation, and emotional honesty is not entitlement. People are allowed to publicly acknowledge their lives. They are allowed to say, I'm tired, I'm struggling, this hurt, I'm hopeful, I'm proud, I'm happy. That's just what being alive looks like. I think the you chose this argument becomes dangerous when it is applied too broadly to human suffering in general. Yes, people make choices. Those choices are also made inside environments like emotional conditioning, trauma histories, attachment patterns, economic realities, culture, and the limits of what somebody psychologically is capable of understanding at that time. Recognizing complexity does not remove accountability from people. It simply acknowledges reality in full resolution instead of flattening human lives into simplistic morality tales. This is where I ultimately land, and I hope that you hear me and give this some thought. I do not want a worldview that removes accountability from people, where everyone is just a victim of their circumstance. I also do not want a worldview that weaponizes accountability to justify emotional disengagement. Healthy societies require both personal responsibility and compassion. Without accountability, people remain caught in destructive cycles. And without empathy, people slowly become numb to each other's humanity. One without the other distorts people. Like ancient Chinese sages discovered centuries ago, life is about balance. Accountability without compassion becomes cruelty disguised as wisdom. Compassion without accountability becomes enablement and low standards disguised as kindness. The real ones are able to hold both accountability and compassion simultaneously. Everyone needs to be responsible for their own life. That doesn't mean that they don't deserve understanding. Life can suddenly go sideways, and unexpected things can happen inside those choices that we make. Thank you very much for watching this video. And even if you disagreed with any of the points that I made here, the fact that you made it to the end of the video says a lot about you. If you thought this video was interesting, if it changed your mind at all, or if you just appreciate my analysis and social commentary, please do hit a like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.